叫开方啊，所以就有那么一门方剂学。
When we work in Chinese medicine as a doctor, we always do something that's called kai fang, which means to write a prescription, and whether that's in acupuncture or in herbs, that's called a fung.
所以首先我们要学方剂学呢，首先就要对方有一个了解，什么是方？
So the understanding of this word is most important.
那在中国的学问里面呢，这个方是跟什么有关系呢？
So you've probably explored already in this class what the meaning of this Fung is. You know this word, namely.
大家能够回答吗？方跟什么有关系？
Yeah. What does Fung mean, or Fang Wei? So Fang Wei.
方位是方就讲方位，那方跟什么关系密切？它是在表达什么东西？
And what is the direction? What is the expression of that? Or I don't know how to answer that myself, but I'm looking expectantly at you here. He usually has a specific point. It's sometimes hard to. Yeah.
So the question was, what specifically does direction mean?
Yeah. 那么方位，你说方位跟哪个是关系最密切？是不是？
中国的学问，我们今天上午讲的有一个天，有一个地。
Yeah, we were talking this morning. Yeah, so
方是跟哪一个有关系？
Okay, so direction in terms of the realm of the heaven and the earth and the humanity, where does the word Fung belong to? Yeah, that we can answer, right?
对，是地方。中国人过去讲，天圆地方，讲天道渊源。
Heaven is round and earth is square, because Fang can also mean square, so the directions, the 5 directions are really the 5 squares in ancient times.
那么地道渊方，这是淮南子的话。天道渊源，地道渊方。
In the Huainanzi, there's that kind of saying that the heaven is round, the earth is square. Yeah.
那为什么说天道渊源，地道渊方？是不是这个地道方，就是说这个地是一个方形的？它实际上它不是说的这样一个概念。
So what does it mean that the Tao of heaven is round and the Tao of earth is square? Does that mean that squareness is a geographical squareness that we need to take literal? Definitely not.
那么讲的是什么呢？那就是它是讲的是天地的一些特征。
It is an energetic description of heaven and earth.
它讲的是天道是渊源，就天呢，它是以源来去表达啊，所以天它是周流不虚，就是这个生以而降，降以而生，就这样。
Round.
浮使的这样一个运动。
Round is a symbol for the energetics of heaven. It's a symbol for cyclicity, for a cycle that keeps going and never stops. Movement, cyclical movement. That's what roundness stands for.
因为有了缘，才产生天道的这么样一个它的根本的意义才会产生。
So the path of heavens is one of cyclical movement, and the seasons and all of the phenomena that come from that.
而地呢，却是因为方，那么地的意义就能够得到体现。
So the energetics of the earth are described with the term Fang, which literally means squareness.
所以你看看我们为什么说地圆方，天圆圆呢？因为天道的这样一个圆，就是你看我们太阳的东升西降这样一个圆的运行。那么地上呢，就是因为圆的运动到一定的时候，你看我们这个不同的地方，它的物产、它的气候的特征，它都是不同的。 就是说，比如说东方它是生什么什么东西，西方它是更多是生什么什么东西，就是。
Yeah, so if you standing in the middle and you see the sun rise in the east on the left and set on the right, there's this cyclical movement of these heavenly patterns that in turn bring about a specific quality of phenomena in physical space on the earth. Like in the east, this is happening, these kinds of things are growing, these kinds of weather patterns are happening. In the west, those kinds of things are happening, those kinds of things are growing. So heaven leads and earth follows. And one of the lead quality, the cyclical movement energetics, is called yuan. The other one is called Fung.
那实际上你看，大地的作用的区别，它实际上也是以方来区别，是不同的地方，那么就有不同的这样一个物产，就是说它有就显现出不同的作用所以南方跟北方是完全不一样的，从它的气候，从它的温度，从它的这个物产的特征等等，它都是不一样的。
So that stimuli of that heavenly flux is followed in different regions of the earth with different kinds of qualities. Different kind of ballparks of space are bringing about different kind of physical phenomena. And that's what's called the square of the south, Nanfang, which is how the Chinese call the south, and the Beifang, the north square, where you've got completely different weather patterns, completely different physical manifestations in terms of the animals and the vegetables and even the people and their emotional behavior that are in there.
那地上我们讲这个地上的就是生长万物，对吧？万事万物都是由地来生长来存在的。那么不同的地方，那么它有不同的事物，有不同的植物，有不同的动物的产生。而不同的植物和不同的动物的产生呢，它不是就是说这个北方长小麦南方长稻米，对吧？它不是一年四季都在长，它是不同的季节、不同的时间是长不同的东西。虽然南北有差别，但是从时间上来讲，时间又给它一个差别。
So one thing that you've got the parameters of time and space. So you've got different kinds of places will produce different kinds of things, but you can further say that that the same place will also produce different things, or different things are happening in the same place at different times. Okay? So it's two different qualifiers. Different things happen in different spaces, but within those spaces, different things happen at different times as well.
那么这里面就谈到一个天地之间的关系。
And that is what the Chinese describe with the relationship of so-called heaven and earth.
也就是说，天本身是我们讲天道渊源，那么天的作用，我们不好去说天有什么作用。那么我们怎么知道天有作用呢？我们是从地上去看天的作用。
So, heaven is the so-called energetic originator of everything that happens, but what it is originating, or what the heavenly force is, we see not by looking at heaven directly, because we can't see that energy, but we can see that force reflected in the mirror of the earth. Very much like the relationship of heaven and earth is the same as the relationship of sun and moon. You look at the light of the sun reflected in the moon, you can see the true face of the power of the sun. Same thing as you looking at the earth, you can see the power of the heavens reflected in that.
所以我们讲太阳它有什么作用呢？太阳是天的一个代表。
Sun is a representative, in other words, of the heavens.
我们只知道太阳是一个火球，很热，内部温度很高。那么它有什么作用呢？ 我们不知道它有什么作用，但是我们看地，我们就知道太阳它有什么作用。
The sun by itself is a ball of gas in the sky, and we don't know by looking at that gas ball by itself what it can do. But when we look at our Earth, we can see the power of that energy in manifest form.
也就是说，太阳的东升西降的这样一个圆周运动，那么就产生了日夜。然后日夜之后再运动，就产生了我们今天上午讲的节气，然后产生了事实的变化。因为日夜的变化，因为节气的变化，因为事实的变化，所以就产生了大地上的生长化收藏的变化。
So, heaven and the sun, as its most important representative, is creating the phenomena of time. Time as in day and night, time as in the months of the year, time as these 24 jieqi, different phases, and of course time as in the 4 seasons. And what they are doing on Earth is the representation of these 4 forces, which is the Chinese call Shen, Zhang, Shou, Cang, which is, there's not enough chalk here. This is the functional powers contained in each season. Starting with wood over here is springtime. Sheng means generation and birth. Zhang means growth for the summertime. Shou means contraction for the fall. And Cang means storage for the wintertime.
也就产生了大地上所有的这些生长的万物的变化。
So the so-called changes that we observe among the so-called 10,000 things on Earth is caused by this phenomenon of time, which in turn comes from the sun, which is represented in this term, the heavens, and the cyclical movements of the heavens.
所以实际上大地上这些万物的变化，是因为天地元的运动所产生的。
So everything, the 10,000 changes on Earth come from the roundness of heaven. They're precipitated by the cyclical movements of the celestial phenomena, with the sun being the most important there.
那所以中国的文化讲体用，有一个体一个用。
That's why one of the ways of expressing yin and yang in ancient China is using the concept of Ti and Yung, of foundation and of the power, or of the body, something that's the body of something, and then the force that comes out of that body, or a basic concept, and then the various ways in which you can use it. Ti means body, Yung means usage.
那么大家就来回答：天与地，哪个是在讲体，哪个是在讲用呢？
So what's the foundation, what's the Ti when we look at heaven and earth, and what's the Yung? What is the way how the existence of that foundation gets used and manifests in the practical realm? Which one is the Ti and which one is the Yung? Heaven is what and earth is what? Tian是体, so 地是用. Exactly right.
所以这样我们就基本上就是说，这个地的这个方，这个地是在表达天的用因为天本身它的用我们不好说我们说它就是一个火球在那里，天天在那里滚动。那它有什么作用呢？我们看大地就能够看到它的作用。随着天的变化，那么大地就呈现出与天 的变化相应的这么一些系列的。
So one function, or the one translation of the term Jung is a function is probably the best one. So, if you look at the body of the sun, it's very hard to say what function it is, but you see the function manifested in the changes it elicits on the earth.
而大地的这个用又怎么去表达呢？因为这个用也是很复杂的一个事情。那么怎么去表达大地的这个用呢？用什么去刻画这个用呢？就是用方去刻画大地。
But how do you symbolize, how to describe what is happening on the earth? How is that the power of the sun manifested, or the power of the heavens of cosmic radiation, you can also say in vibration, how that manifests on the earth, the descriptive language for that, an entirely symbolic language of that is crafted in that phenomena of Fang. That is really what Fang means. It's a symbolic way of expressing the reflected power of the heavens and the earth.
所以我们到不同的方就可以看到不同的地的作用啊。那么你看到过中国的他们到过中国的，就看到中国的方是跟这里的方是不同的。那么中国那个地方的山川的秀美的程度啊，或者它的特征啊，它的物产啊，又跟我们这个地方就不一样。
Yeah, so there's quite a few people here who've been to China, and it's a different landscape there. Different things grow there. People eat different foods, a different climate. It's quite different from here.
而且随着这个时间的不同，那么这个方的作用也是不同啊。就是说，冬天有冬天的物产，这个夏天有夏天的物产，秋天有秋天的物产，春天有春天的物产。
And if you stay there for a longer period of time, you see that difference. Even there is a difference in the same place in what will happen there.
所以，那么这个方，所以古人就讲了，这个方的这个特征是什么呢？聚类。方以聚类。
What did the Chinese describe that term Fang by saying it's 聚类? It is.
就把同样的东西聚在这一个方里面，就一个方它聚同一类的东西。
It's congregating things that are of the same kind, So that is when you are. That's the term for that would be 聚类, that he's writing here. 聚 means to congregate, and 类 means type, So it's a system of categorization. In other words, just like the earth is putting certain things that are resonant with each other in the plant and the animal and the people realm and the climate realm in the south, you have then other things that are resonant with each other in the north. So it's a natural system of categorization of similar energies in the same ballpark.
所以这样一来呢，就这个方的概念大家就慢慢的出来了啊，方是来干嘛的？
So slowly we see sort of this concept of direction emerge, and what the original meaning of Fang is.
那方是聚类，聚什么类呢？聚哪样的类呢？
So it's congregating types. What kind of types are we talking about here?
啊，那么在《内经》里面。这有关这个方的这样一个类别，它有很多的篇章都在讲这个问题。
Quite a bit of space in the Neijing is talking about exactly this, about this concept of Fang, and of course, what different kinds of things are associated with the vibrations of the four directions. All of
里面他把这个方位图是倒过来的。它是这样去看，不是对面去看，所以它是倒过来，它是上南下北。我们现在的地图是翻过来的。
Yeah, so this is the map that we're so familiar with that the Neijing first drew, which is the four direction with east on the left and south on the top and north at the bottom and west on the right hand side and then center.
那么我们这个就是基本的方啊，基本的就东南西北中，这是我们基本的方。方基本上分这五大方啊，如果再详细分，我们有12方，甚至36方，甚至64方。
So, in the big picture in medicine, we have, of course, 12 Fung, 12 directions. But that is the most basic, the minimum diagnostic system that you need to have is 5. You can have 6, you can also have 12. It's a further differentiation of those same 5.
那么东方根据什么呢？
So in the East, what types are being congregated there? If you're talking about directions as ballparks for collection of similar species or similar kinds of things in there. What's in there? Particularly if he, 他们都基本上应该是清楚对这个，他们就是。
素问有一篇叫《金匮真言论》，大家还记得？
Yeah, like 金匮真言论, what is that? The true words from the golden chamber or something like that. Is that in there? It's got all of like what other qualities are associated with those 5 directions. You of course know all of this, so don't be shy here with.
Talking about spring and the seasons and all of these associations.
Yeah, all of these associations exactly. 就这个五个不同的颜色，5个不同的味道，5个不同的动物。
生什么？生风。
Yeah. So we've got wind in the east.
是吧？风又生木。
So wind generates wood.
木又生什么？
Wood gives birth to sour. That is this kind of generational.
酸又生什么呢？
Sour gives birth to liver.
啊，肝又生什么呢？
And the liver gives birth to.
不停地生下去，它的气
So
是
it
什么
keeps going, keeps going. No, what is the flavor of this is.
肝又开窍于目。
So the eyes belong into here, and 那个是什么？那个是温。
它的气是温。
Yeah, the quality, temperature quality is warm versus hot versus cool and cold.
那么东方的这个色是什么呢？
Color is of course 绿色青 yeah.
东方的气是温，它的色是青。那么东方的骨是什么呢？
And how about the grain? What kind of grain? Do you remember what? 麦。
对，东方是麦。
Very good.
畜是什么呢？它的动物是什么呢？
How about the animal, the domestic animal? No, that's a 12. That's symbolic animal. There is like that Neijing system.
那不同的，还有它的音是什么呢？
Sound.
它的声。
Shouting?
就是另它是就是那个喉，那个大声的，但是 I think it was talking about 角 the pentatonic tonality. That's what he was talking about.
它的气味是什么呢？气味什么呢？
How about the smell?
等等，就是说我们今天不讲，就是它不停地可以问下去，不停地可以。
Yeah, it doesn't. But it's like every single thing in the universe you can put into one of these drawers.
为什么说方是以聚类的？就跟它有关系的，就是同类的东西，都在一个方里面。
Yeah. So that's what it means. It's like things that are the same, and that means from a holistic perspective, energetically the same. The vibration is similar, on a color level, on a sound level, on a smell level, on a flavor level, on an animal level, on a plant level, all of that is in that corner, in that ballpark.
这就告诉我们一个事情，我们开方是开始。
So that's important when we go kai fang, when we write a prescription, when we create a fang, what is it that we're doing in essence?
它的与时为什么？在时间上它是什么？春，对不对？
Yeah. So of course, from a time perspective, we spring.
那我们开方，比如说我们要开一个东方，开一个东方。
Yeah. For instance, if
比
our
如说这个病人
prescription,
需要一个东方，
if the patient needs a dongfang, which means an Eastern ballpark prescription, what would that look like?
比如说这个病人是一个肝病，对吧？他的肝气弱了，他肝弱了，那么我们就是他的东方弱了，那我们要去补他的东方，那我们就要开一个补东方的方子。
For instance, if his liver is ill and specifically in a state of deficiency, then we need to do something to tonically support that Eastern ballpark.
那么我们说开一个东方，那么这东方我们可以开出什么东西来呢？
And what kind of things would that entail? You know. Yeah.
那也就是说，我们如果是要开中药，对不对啊？我们可以开一个温性的药。
Yeah. So number one, we can prescribe. I like that Guizhi answer, by the way. We need to write a prescription that's first of all warming. It's like spring.
桂枝是性温的。
Yeah.
我们如果要开颜色呢，可以开个青色的。
Yeah. Something that's warming in terms of herbs, like something that is maybe green in vibration at least.
对吗？青色这种。比如说他不想吃药，他说我不能吃药， 我也没时间吃药，怎么
If
办
he
呢？
says I don't have any time to make herbs, or if he says I cannot, I'm environmentally sensitive into foods, into herbs even more, I just smell that kind of stuff, I keel over, what do we do then?
那你回去告诉他，那你就穿件青色的衣服。
Yeah, just surround your, then he says just paint your walls green, wear green clothes. They're literally, one of his teachers once saved somebody from certain death from severe liver cirrhosis by putting him for several months in a completely black room, you know, that he wasn't allowed to emerge from, and just food came in, and black clothes, black everything. 我就给他们讲曾老师的这么一个，把墙就刷黑色，后来就住几个月在里面。
那他又说我没有青色的衣服怎么办？那你家里面有没有粮食？你就问他，哎，那你家里面有没有麦子？有麦子，那你这一段时间你就吃麦子，不要吃米。
Yeah, or even something as simple as, you know, you change. In southern China, people always eat rice. You know, it's that now you just eat wheat, you know, instead of rice. You know, you're also doing something that is tonic for the liver from that perspective.
那他说我家粮食也没有，那你家有没有音乐呢？有音乐，那你去听脚音。
Or from a pentatonic perspective, and I think many of you are already doing that in the clinic, is if you think a patient is a juyin or so patient, you have these pentatonic discs of music that you can play in each treatment room, right? That I don't know whether they're still there, but originally when they were, yeah. 就他们就是这里诊所里面有这种5种不同的音乐，一个是脚音，一个是就有不同的病人就给他们听 ，yeah.
那他还有，我们刚刚还漏了一个，东方的数是多少？
One thing that we forgot is that there's also numbers in each ballpark, right? What is the number of the eastern corner? Is the number
是3与8。
3 and 8, yes.
啊，所以什么都没有了，你可以用数去治疗。那么3与8就是东方的数。
Yeah, you can even use numerology to treat that kind of patient.
所以这就是告诉大家，方是方以具类。那么我们张仲景也好，《伤寒论》也好，我们开的这个方子只是一个表达，一个比较突出的一个样板，并不是说这个就包括了所有的方，就是，所以我们学方剂一定要明白什么叫做方。
So the most important thing is when you study formula studies, Fung science, it's important to understand what are we doing. We are imitating a certain kind of vibrational quality that is of a specific direction, belongs to a specific ballpark, and very often in classical formulas, and I'm adding that, it's not only the flavor of these herbs, the color of these herbs, the temperature of these herbs, but also how many numbers of herbs are in that formula, and even what its name is you could say is sort of vibrational magic, meaning you try to evoke the energetics of that particular ballpark.
为什么要我们开的方？我们经常圣人开的方出来，它的表达，它是，并不是说，可能。一个方，比如说桂枝汤，待会我们有时间我们会讲一讲桂枝汤。比如说桂枝汤是不是纯粹就是东方的一类的累积呢？它又不是，因为呢，为什么方能够治病？因为方与方之间有不同的相互作用，所以就造就了我们方里面的复杂的变化。
The only thing now, medicine would be really easy if every patient would just be one ballpark problem. And the problem is that there is complicated mixtures of different directions, and that is why lots of formulas have lots of different herbs in them with complex relationships between them. And then on top of that, you still need to individualize that for different patients. So that is because, just like in nature, you've got complex relationship between different directions on the globe. In our body, it is similar.
这个也成就了中医不同的派别或者不同的个性的特征。
It is one of the characteristics of our medicine that drive us crazy in the modern age. Is that you've got so many different schools, so many people with different opinions. Even with the same school, everybody's got their individual style, and that is because you try and get at the same problem from a different perspective, which is feasible because everything is connected and related to each other. It doesn't mean one is always right and the other one is wrong. You can technically affect the same ballpark from different directions.
那方之间有什么样的关系呢？
What is the relationship between the different directions?
大家能给我报告一下吗？
Can I hear your report on that?
东方跟南方是一个什么关系呢？
What's the relationship between East and South? 就一个要到一定的时候变化到。
这个我不要，我要讲一个比较中医有术语的这样一个关系。东方与南方是一个什么关系
Oh, he was looking for something more conceptual, I think. 就是
木生火。对，木是生火。
So he was after the generational relationship between them, that one generates the other one.
那火又跟土是一个什么关系呢？
How about fire,
南方跟中央又是一个什么关系？
south and center? What is that kind of relationship? Same, right? 还是生的关系。
那中央跟西方是什么关系呢？还是生。
How about the center and the west and the north? They all generational relationship. 还是生的关系。
北方还是生的关系，北方跟东方还是生的关系。
Yeah, same thing from the north to the east.
这是方之间的生的关系。
That is the 生 relationship, the generational relationship.
所以这个就，如果比如我们东方有病，东方弱了，我们就可以用它的身，用北方去生它。
So that's where that concept comes from, that when the problem is in the eastern corner, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you go directly to the eastern corner, even though that is possible, but actually quite often indirectly in Chinese Fung science, you go to the north to generate that relationship between you tonify water in order to generate wood.
所以经常我们治疗的时候，比如它本身它就是一个肝病，一个东方的病，它弱了，我们去补它，可是补了很长的时间没有起色。就你要它吃麦子也好，要它清脚阴也好，要它这个穿青色的也好，要它数3数8也好，开了桂枝汤给它吃了，它都没有作用。那这个时候你就不能够死在那个地方。
So, for instance, if somebody's got a chronic liver disease that comes from a deficiency of the yeast, so to speak, and you give them wheat to eat, and you let them listen to jiao music, and you let them wear only green clothes, and you give them cinnamon decoction, since that is, of course, the at least from the Tang Ye Jing perspective, is that pungent quality of the Guizhi, that warming quality. But if that doesn't work, you can't die in that corner. You need to think, maybe there is something else going on. I need to approach it from another direction.
那你就必须要明白，因为木是从哪来？东方是从哪来呢？是从北方来的，北方生东方。
Where does
它的
the
这个源，它有亏损了，就是北方它不能够生东方了，所以你怎么去补它？它的那个来源没有了，所以尽管你去补了东方，可是它是不起作用。所以这个时候我们就通过相生的这个关系，我们去开一个北方。
So very often you have that scenario. It's like if the power of winter to generate spring doesn't exist, the power of water to generate wood is too weak. If the power of the kidneys to generate the liver doesn't work, then you just working on the liver directly will never lead to the success, because it's like injecting water into the stream even though there's not enough water being pumped out from the source. And so there you need to write a northern prescription, a water prescription, a kidney prescription for a liver patient. Okay.
所以这个时候你去开一个北方，你去治它的水，比如说去治它的肾，因为北方是属水属肾，对不对？哎，你没有去治东方，哎，东方好起来了。
All of a sudden, you see the liver get better, even though you treated the liver for a long time, not much happening. All of a sudden, you treat the kidneys, the liver getting better.
那肝的问题就解决了。
And that is, of course, the example that I gave you earlier from his Feng Shui and Bazi master, who used the color black literally for this chronic cirrhosis patient.
那么好了，那么方除了这样一种相生的关系以外，它还有另外一种关系，是什么关系呢？方，哎，对，他们有被答回。
Yeah,
还有
okay.
克的。那么克的关系，东方是克哪里呢？
Okay, so let's look at the controlling cycle. What is the east is controlling which direction or restraining which one? Wood is controlling
东方是克中央，
对
对吧？那中央克哪里呢？
So the east controls the center controls the north, Beifang,
东方克的。
and
北
the
方克哪里呢？
north is controlling the Nanfang, the south,
南方克哪里呢？
and the south is controlling Xifang, yeah,
西方克哪里呢？
is the west, and the west is controlling Dongfang, the east.
这个就存在一个相克的关系。
嗯
所谓相克，就是相制约，有这么一种制约的成分。
Yeah. So Sheng and Ke means, one is boosting it and the other one is restraining it. That's probably the best way how we can translate Sheng and Ke.
这个克呢，那么也跟我们上午讲到的这个克的作用和生的作用都在达到一个什么呢？和平。
And the goal of this adaptogenic mechanism, of course, in a person who has health, in the words that you spent so much time explaining this morning is he and ping, and together makes a he ping, which means peace, means balance, means health. That is when there's boosting what needs to be boosted and restraint what needs to be restrained, then everything is just right in the middle. Not too much, not too little. Those are the characters for he and ping, absolutely. Yeah. This is he, this is ping. Yeah. It's a little bit, this is he, this is ping. 这样好抄一些。
那好了，那现在的问题就来了啊。那么这个我们说克也好，生也好，是达到一个和平啊。那么就不要有太过，也不要有不及啊。所以克，如果克得太过了以后，比如说木克土，克得太过以后怎么样？土就被克死掉了。
Yeah. So the problem is often, as he explained this morning, how harmony and balance and true health is being disturbed is that by having one of these other two states. One is taiguo, too much, or buji, not enough. And what is one of the ways how you can generate buji, not enough, is, for instance, if something is over-restraining. For instance, if metal is over-controlling wood, if the forces, the death forces of fall are over-controlling the life forces of spring, then spring will die, will be buried underneath that, and as a result of it, there won't be enough spring forces.
那么克得不及了，那么土的功能又不能够正常的发挥。因为木克土呢，实际上木能够使土呢发生很正常的作用，它也有这样一个正面的作用。
Yeah, so the same is true that control mechanisms needs to be enough. Don't misunderstand control as something that it is always stifle something and make it die, but you need to have, you prevent it, it's a physiological force that helps another organ to work correctly. Like a very important thing is, it's not just, we often diagnose wood over-controlling earth. So many mental emotional problems, so many digestive problems is usually diagnosed as wood over-controlling earth. However, if the wood doesn't have a role in controlling earth, the earth will never be able to function correctly. Don't forget that. Just because it's sometimes over-controlling doesn't mean it should be left alone.
所以这个生它也是这样，也是生也要保持和平。也不能够生得太过，也不能生得不及。
Yeah, the same is true for the generational cycle. It doesn't mean the more the better. It means it needs to be just right. There can be not enough generational power, there can be too much generational power.
那这样一来好了，我们就开始，我们就进入到更深一层的问题了。就比如说，我们中土病了。
Okay, so let's take a look at that our center, our earth is diseased.
我们可以有可能采取什么样的方法？
So
就开什么方？
So what kind of a fang are we prescribing? What kind of a direction, what kind of a prescription are we issuing? Let's say our earth is deficient.
中土不及了。
Yeah.
它是一个不吉的病，因为和平就不病嘛，对吧？
So let's assume the center is diseased, and what type of disease is a deficiency disease?
那么有可能我们要开哪一些方？现在我中途不急了，中途
So what are our possibilities?
我
You
们
know,
怎么
and
去治疗？有哪些可能性？
yeah. 那么
may not be generating earth or
Yeah.
overacting.
他说就一个可能性是火不生土，那么第二一个就是那
一个
个
是
一个是
有一
木
种可能性，我们要开个南方，对不对啊？
，yeah. So
还有
if
呢，
另外他还说还有一个木克的太过，那么就
有可能我们要开一个东方，还
yeah.
有呢，
So one is a scenario is we need to prescribe a southern prescription where we need to have more south to generate more earth, or we have a one where we need to control somehow the wood so that doesn't over control the earth. What else? Are there any other possibilities? 他说金太旺。
OK，那就开个西方。
Okay, in that case, we
还有吗
would need to go to the west and reduce that. And you referring to the, if that it kind of invites too much earth into itself because it's dominant. Mhm.
You could have the same with earth over controlling water. So it's
But the
a
earth
deficiency.
itself is
So it's
weak
like it's causing the deficiency in the earth.
because it's working too hard to control the
Control
water. 他说有没有这么一个可能性是，因为土在花太大的力量克那个水，那么有没有这后来在这个过程当中就变成虚？
当然有可能，什么事情都有可能。
He said
对对。
that's one rule of medicine: never say never. So that is absolutely a possibility. Why not?
Self, if we're looking at it from five evils perspective. So
他说，当然土的本身就直接去补它。Yeah.
好，所以你看我们现在中央力弱了，我们可以直接开一个中央的方子，对不对？也可以开东南西北各一个，都可以，有可能都可能作用到土上。
That is the reason why you have different schools of medicine if you truly have master practitioners in there. One of them, they specialize in north treatment, others in west treatment, other in east or wood treatment, but they all, because of the relationship of the different organs and elements to each other, they theoretically can all work to heal that earth element.
所以，如果中医说，土弱了就开一个理中汤或者健中汤或者是什么样就行了，那大家就不用在这里了，是吧？那么回去以后翻翻书或者是怎么样，就可以学好中医了。
Yeah, so if it wasn't as easy that you just go, oh, if there's an earth problem, you always prescribe Li Zhong Tang, which is, of course, the representative Tai-Yin remedy, or so-called Jian Zhong Tang, built the center, another Shanghan Nun remedy that has cinnamon in it to move the spleen. Then we wouldn't need to come here and study more formulas, etc., in greater depth, because it would just be one or two methods for each one of these corners, and you always go directly there, end of story, right?
可是问题在于，它有那么多种可能性，都可以导致土弱，都可以导致中央的弱，那怎么办？
The issue is that there's so many different reasons why the earth is weak in the first place. And it works much better if the earth is weak because of over control of wood if you treat the wood. No, otherwise you won't, that your treatment won't hold of the center. And so that is why the study, the in-depth study of this medicine, studying all of the energetics, which means that's truly functional medicine, which is relationship between the different ballparks, is most important.
大家刚刚说了，中土弱是它自弱，对吧？它自弱，那么我们就直接从中土去服益它的土，那么可以了。
So if the earth is just collapsed onto itself without any influence by external ballparks or directions or organs, other organs, then you go straight there, it'll work just fine, definitely.
那么它还有一种可能是母不生子，就南方不能够生中央。
But if it is because the south is not giving birth to the center, or the heart is not giving birth to the spleen, in that case,
那么我们治中央没有用处，我们要去补火，去生土。
you need to definitely tonify the fire in that case to give birth to more earth.
那还有一种是木不去疏土了，或者木疏土太过了，那么都能够导致土地不及。
And then, of course, we've got two different scenarios when it comes to wood. It's either the earth is not working because there's too much control by wood, or the wood is not controlling the earth enough. Both of them can create a collapse or a failing of the earth function in the center.
因为我们要从东方去治疗。
In that case, the only way how you will have lasting results is treat in the east, treat the liver and gallbladder.
而实际上木的状态、木的强弱很重要，有些时候又是由西方去控制它的，因为金是有一个克木的关系，所以如果金不好了，刚刚他讲到了，那么金克木太过了，或者金不能够克木了，金弱了，那么都会导致土木关系的变化，那么最终导致土弱。
So when you do the individual astrological calculations, there is definitely this idea, that the organ behind it can invite, or the direction behind another one can invite excess into it. So we have this metal example, but you could also say the problem in the center is because of an Eastern problem, and where does the Eastern problem come from is because it's been over-controlled by the West. And in that case, you can not only go to the east, but you got to fix the problem that is, because the east itself is not the source of it, you need to actually start in the west to treat the center. That's yet a third possibility from working on the center through the east, in this case through the west.
所以我们这个时候我们要通过西方去调中央。
So in that case, yeah, approaching middle problems through the west.
那么它还有一种可能，完全还有一种可能，是因为为什么火不能够生土了呢？因为水去克火，克得太过了，所以火也不可能去生土。
And another scenario would be that the earth is weak because fire is not generating it, but not because the fire itself is weak, but because it is being over-controlled by water, and as a result of it then is weak itself and cannot generate earth.
如果这个时候你光去治火，你不去泄水，那么这个火仍然是生不了土，所以你很可能要通过北方去调中央的问题。
So if you only tonify the fire in that case without purging the water, you won't also make progress in the center.
Should I wait my question to the end? Or?
Maybe that'd be best, yeah.
所以这样一来，就是说，任何一个方的病，都有可能是由其他任何一个方导致的，也有可能通过其他的任何一个方去治疗你所在方的这样一个病。
So this is something we need to understand, that in Chinese medicine, diagnosis and treatment is extremely flexible. In the end, you got to settle on one ballpark. But you need to be clear that disease in any ballpark can be caused by any of the other ballparks and can be treated by treating any of the other ballparks. So it's not a linear science, it's a science of complexity where all options are always open.
所以中医为什么那么丰富多彩呢？那么奥妙呢？它正因为它之间有这样一些错综复杂的关系，所以就使中医变得非常的奥妙，也非常的有魅力。
So that is why Chinese medicine is what is called in Chinese a Feng Fu Duocai science, something that is extremely complex and has many colors, but is also very attractive in a certain way as a creative outlet, because it's just like when you play music. After a while, you don't want to just play these simple little ditties but you want to become a virtuoso. And so that is like when you play the instrument of the human body and you're working with the most sophisticated thing in nature that has so complex, has so many different possibilities.
这个丰富多彩表现在什么呢？有一些就是这些高明的中医，它有很多种治法，比如说治土，它通过火来治土，那中间隔了多少啊？因为火，比如我们以土为起点为零，对吧？那么土去生了，对，土是由哪个生的呀？我们往反方向数，土是由火生的，那么火就是一了，对吧？那么火又是由哪个生的呀？木生的，木是二，木又是谁生的呀？水，水又是谁生的呀？它是金。所以我们透过火去制土是隔了一，就是这个间隔的隔一的制法。那么透过木去调土呢是隔二的制法，透过水去调土是隔三的制法，透过金去调土呢，它更加是隔四的制法。所以中医它有隔一、隔二、隔三、隔四，就是它根本它不去面子上看，它不去调你这个土。脾胃病了，它不去治脾胃，它可能去治心，也可能去治肝，也可能去治肾，也可能去治肺。它最后它都能够作用到这里。
So the more sophisticated you are in your approach as a Chinese doctor, the more indirect you are in your approach. So most often when you have an earth problem, you've got this, you go use the concept of treatment that he calls the concept of removal. And removal means there is one removed, which would be fire generating it, two removed, which would be wood generating fire, generating earth, three removed, which would be water generating wood, generating fire, generating earth, or four removed, which would be metal generating water, generating wood, generating fire, generating earth.